Right, I'm here with Nikita Kostikov to preview the 2019 Concordia tennis seasons, and as we sit here and record this, it's a couple of days away actually from start of spring action anyway. First off, you personally got here kind of in the middle of the school year last year. What about the opportunity to come here excited you at Concordia?
First of all, it was just I'm really thankful for that opportunity that Devin and Angela gave me to kind of lead the men's team, because for me, coming from the, actually a student athlete background, and kind of get into coaching straight away was a little bit challenging, but I'm the person that likes to take on challenges in life and not give up on those kind of opportunities. So it was both challenging and exciting for me, and I'm really honored and blessed to be a part of this team and leading those men to maybe some victories this semester. So we'll see how it's gonna work.
You played tennis at Elkhorn State in Mississippi. That's where you came from there. How would you describe your college experience at Elkhorn State?
Yeah, it was very different from here. Just the whole, I would say, setup. You probably know it was very, very southern south of Mississippi. So it was not much, I would say, around me, and it was really warm comparing to Nebraska. But if we're gonna talk about like the level of colleges, it's also very, very different. It was very different, but I think also how the colleges ran, it's just very, very different in terms of like leadership and how is the program developed. Because like here at Concordia, it's a much higher level. You could be probably surprised, but it's a much higher level of organization here in Concordia than I experienced in Elkhorn. That's why for me it was a huge surprise to get in here and actually experience that all. Even though I had some really great time there in Elkhorn. I've made a lot of contributions throughout my 4 years as a college athlete, and I really like the place, and I've made a lot of great connections there. I've been coached by some great people, so I'm really thankful for that opportunity, and I'm, trying to kind of, remember it and move on with it.
Well, you're originally from Russia. What about your upbringing and kind of your surroundings? It maybe influenced you to become interested in the sport of tennis?
Actually, I started playing tennis when I was 7 years old, and my parents were really, especially my mom, was not really interested in sport itself. She would prefer that I would do something more artistic, like figure skating, honestly. And I know it sounds funny, but my dad liked more of those kind of action sports, like hockey. He loved hockey, but no one really thought of tennis. And my granddad, he was the one who kind of wanted me to pursue tennis, and he asked my parents to actually try me out for tennis, and that's when I developed my passion for it. And that's when my parents saw me that, okay, he likes tennis, and it seems like he's gonna be pretty good at it. He has a talent for it. So, and then that's where it started. And back home in Russia, at least, tennis has became very popular throughout years, especially with people going and playing college sports here in the States. Like, for example, a lot of people that I practiced with during my junior years there back home have gone through the same path as me. So some of them are even doing the same thing as being a graduate assistant or assistant coach at some other universities here all over the U.S. So that's how it is back home, at least. So it's a very popular sport, and it's a very popular path to go through a kind of semi-pro junior tennis to a collegiate tennis here in the United States.
Well, you've worked with, I know, both the men's and women's programs while you've been here, but now your main focus is with the men's team. What have been some areas you've really tried to improve this off season heading into the spring?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So starting August, we kind of we whirled with the preseason, and we put a lot of emphasis on our fitness and endurance and a little bit of like technical work. We worked a lot on our on our pattern strategies, like directional tennis, I would say, because it's really important for us in college tennis to be able to maintain that pace throughout 2 or 3 hours and actually not get tired and still be able to kind of come on top, right? So that was our main priority in off season. And when we started our preseasons, that's what I like about our scheduling, that January we kind of have it as a preseason. So in preseason we put a little more emphasis, as kids came back from Christmas, we put a little more emphasis on like footwork, like a little less conditioning as it was in off season, in fall, but still we would put a little more emphasis in conditioning and a little also more concentration on like point play and actually getting us prepared for a competition. But some of the areas we've worked a lot on was doubles play and actually improving our endurance and our consistency in singles. We have worked a lot on that, and now I see a lot of improvement. That's what I'm telling my players after every practice. Just, I have nothing else to say, guys. We have been through a long journey starting August, and we've come a long way. It was a huge step from August to where we are right now. It's just two completely different teams. So I'm really proud of the way that we work together, and again, like, we'll see what's going to happen within the next several months.
So I guess it's safe to say they look different, a lot different than back in September when you did compete at kind of a GPAC tournament for individuals. What were some of the takeaways, if you remember back from that invitational?
It was a very important tournament, not for players but for coaches too. That was kind of I would say a brief, introduction of what teams did during the summer in terms of recruitment, who left, who came, what new players came in. It was really good to see for me, for example, that for Midland and Hastings, for instance, our main competitors, nothing really changed much. Didn't bring that many people that can kind of damage our record, and don't just completely remain the same. So I think it's going to be much tighter competition in the conference this year in terms of men, and we showed it with our performance in the individuals. Even though we just practiced, like we just prepared for it like only a month, we still had some good results. Like Isaac House, he went to the finals of singles B. Joe Bindle and Jack Kitson, they went to the semis of the doubles, and then Tommy McNish won the flight C singles. So we had some decent performance there, and I think this season overall will be, again, that's what GPAC individuals show, that this season will be depending a lot on our bottom lineup, because we did not have that kind of depth last year that we have now. That now it becomes even complicated for me to decide who is going to be the starters, because it's very, like, the competition within the team is pretty tough, and that is good for the coach also.
Yeah, well, two of those guys that were kind of leaders at the top of the lineup last season, guys like Thomas Grief and Luke Zoller, they had some ups and downs, but what is their outlook like for this season?
Yeah, Thomas and Luke has improved a lot, just like the whole team itself. They were growing with the team, and they were helping grow each other, as they are still our, I would say, top players, because again, I can't really decide for now who's going to be our number one, who's going to be number two, but they are the top guys. They are the leader of our teams. They are the upperclassmen. So I expect a lot from them this semester, because we've worked a lot on them throughout different areas, both singles and doubles, and they both have improved. And they both are ready to do some damage in the GPAC for sure, and within the rest of the regular season as well. So I'm just very excited to see what they're capable of, especially I know for Thomas that will be a really important season. That's his last, and I remember how I felt my last season. I was just ready to give it all and play until I basically pass out on the court.
Well, it's been a little bit of a unique situation with you and Javier Marino running the two programs. What's that been like for you two to kind of work together with it?
Yeah, at the beginning it was challenging since we both are inexperienced. It was just my first year being a coach. Because before I was just coaching in the clubs and stuff like that. But being an actual collegiate coach is a big responsibility. I think being in charge of that many people, and Javi the same. He was just basically coming out of undergrad. Same, even though he was here, he had a little advantage over me. He knew overall what's the culture like here. But we, after I think even less than a month, we just kind of found each other's way, and we work really well together. We understand each other without even like saying additional words. Like we're working really well right now, and that kind of outlines on how the system runs in the program. And I believe that's what kids think, and that's what they like right now. And I see how motivated they are to come to practice every day, because they actually know that there's someone out there cares for them, and they will care for the program as well.
And last thing, you touched on a little bit about some of the other conference teams, but where do you feel like this team is at? What's reasonable to expect from them this spring?
Honestly, it's a very tough question because I don't know, because the competition will be really tight this year. Like both us, Stone, Hastings, and Midland, I say are on the same level right now. If we're talking at the beginning of the season, and in tennis, you never know what way one day it can go one way, another day it can go completely opposite ways. So I can't really predict, but I think those four teams will be, the main competition of the GPAC this year, and I'm hoping that Concordia will be on top of those four. Obviously, that is our goal. Again, like one of the coaches here said that if your goal is not to win, then what are we even doing here? So that's kind of our motto for this upcoming season.